Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We're here in Halls of Torment, so we're going to do a character guide here today. So I asked for some feedback on what types of videos you'd like to see for this game, and character guides was the #1 thing. So we're going to start with the Cleric today. So the Cleric's a pretty interesting character. I think the Cleric is a good choice for the early game, and does scale up quite nicely in the end game too. So what makes the Cleric special here, it is a magic user. So the Holy Scepter is the main weapon. It is considered magic and melee. Deals damage in a cone equally split among all foes. So really, really high base damage. You can see there 1000 base damage. This is going to enable us to melt 1v1 targets pretty easily, especially in the early game. You're going to be able to kill bosses and elites pretty quickly with this guy. It does, however, get split among all the enemies. So if you do have a big group of enemies, that 1000 is going to be split amongst all of them. Does have a 20% base crit chance and 100% crit bonus, which is decent. Attack speed is pretty slow. Has 1 multi-strike and force. Will give it knockback. Knockback is okay, not really the focus, I would say. If you have a look on the left, we have base health of 400, no defense or strength. We do have 1 regeneration though, which is decent. And movement speed of 4.5, which is actually on the slow side. So the Cleric's probably the biggest weakness is the movement speed. So you might want to take some movement speed either on your gear items or some of your traits that you choose to take. So each level up, you get additional damage and attacks for your Holy Scepter. Plus, we scale damage percentage and regeneration percentage as we level up as well. So once we hit higher levels, we do have pretty good regeneration here on the Cleric, especially with some of the traits that we're able to choose. But the base damage also scaling up is nice to have. You know, we'd probably prefer something else realistically, but having the extra damage is nice. So now there are some gear items that kind of give us crazy damage output in terms of base damage, or in terms of the damage percentage, I should say. So it does kind of nullify this stat a little bit here, at least in the current patch of the game, but it is not bad to have the extra damage as you go. Now, I'm going to show you an example build today of a crit magic type of build. So we're going to go all in on magic damage here on the Cleric. Now, you don't have to do that. You could go melee, or you could just ignore the damage type of your main weapon and go with some different skills and mix it up like that if you choose to, but I think it makes sense to lean into what the Cleric has to offer here. So magic damage plus some damage and regeneration, and the Holy Scepter scaling up as well. So this main attack can be quite strong. So early game, I think the Cleric is really good. As I said, the main weapon can really 1v1 high health targets, and the Cleric does actually scale up pretty nicely into the end game here as well. So let's just quickly have a look at the quest page for the Cleric here. So you really do want to get these quests done to unlock the traits as well as some of the extra abilities here. The Radiant Aura is a nice ability to have. You need to do 500,000 magic damage in one run. If you just choose all the magic skills, you should be able to get this done relatively early on. 500,000 isn't too much, so. Now you do want to come in here and unlock the different blessings and traits and the extra items. The Blood Catcher item is actually unlocked here. So you definitely want to come in here and do all of the quests. As you can see, there's one that I've just done recently here. This was the last one I had to do. But I've actually finally finished them all now. So there's also the Mark over here, which you need to reach Agony 3 in the Haunted Caverns to unlock. It's actually pretty easy. You should be able to get that one done. And the other ones you want to keep your eye out for are the traits. Now let's talk about gear next. So in the early game, I think an item you really want to keep your eye out for is this one here, the white level running shoes, 20% movement speed. Early game, this is going to make a big difference. This is going to enable you to get away from the enemies a little bit easier. It's going to enable you to avoid taking as much damage. Now you can always just go for defense and block strength. This is pretty nice too. I think the green version of it's obviously pretty strong. I think this is bugged. I think this is meant to be maybe 20. I think the values on the purple ones are mixed up a bit, but hey. You can go in with the defense, or you can go in with movement speed. I think movement speed is a great choice for the Cleric because Cleric's move speed is it's pretty slow at base. I like to put the hood on here for the base defense as well. This one has defense and move speed together, so that's a nice combination. You can sub it out for block strength, There are some other interesting helmets you can put on too. Something like the Warcry is actually pretty good. Fragile's not too bad. Fragile chance 300. I think it stacks up to three stacks when it's 300%. Warcry is not too bad. You can take some other interesting stuff in here. Wind Crown, the extra crit bonus. So for the build that I'm going to show you today, I have gone for the hood with the boost. So 20 base defense and 20% movement speed, which is a really, really nice item here. Now, in terms of the amulets, let's talk about the blood catcher here. This particular item is the strongest item in the game right now. It's pretty crazy. It scales really, really high out through the end game. And you're just going to be healing so much, you're never going to die. And you're just going to be able to stack up so much damage. So the way it works is it charges based on your max health times 200. So the lower max health you have, the more this actually triggers. So you can take advantage of that through using some different means. We'll get into that in a bit. But so yeah, even early game, this is going to heal you and it's going to start boosting your damage. Doesn't trigger as crazy high early game, but man, it will start. The more damage you do, it will start boosting up quite a bit here. It really is the most broken item right now in the game. If you want to excel in the end game or just make your runs easier in general, you can put this thing on. The white level version is also not bad. Obviously, the green one's a bit better. There's also one that gives you regeneration instead of damage, which is kind of crazy too, but taking this one heals you and gives you damage, so, you know, the best of both worlds. In terms of the other necklaces, nothing really compares to the blood catcher right now. I enjoyed using the collar of confidence before I switched over to this thing. This will give you more damage per enemy in your pickup range, so it's not too bad, but man, the damage output on this thing is just, it ends up being so much higher. So you can give your main weapon elemental chance, which is nice. You know, it's only 2% though, so it's nothing crazy. Nothing else in here is really great for the late game. Early game, being able to locate the ingredients for your potions is really, really nice. So keep your eye out for the Gatherer's Charm. It's going to enable you to get your potions maxed out much easier. And that is really important for the end game, getting your potions maxed out. So keep your eye out for that. What did we do there? we unequipped that, but for right now in the current version of the game, this item is best in slot by a significant margin. So in terms of the rings for our build here, we're going to use the 2 crit rings because we're going to go hard into critical hit chance and damage. So now I did some testing with putting 2 different wooden rings on versus having 1 copper ring and a wooden ring. And this combination gave us the most damage output in the runs we did. So that's what we've landed on for our crit build here. Now, there are some other interesting rings. Base damage is interesting. You could use some of these other rings. There are some pretty cool ones in here. I think the lightning rings are cool for spark chance. A frost ring if you're going to go frost damage. But for what we're doing for our build here today, we're going to do crit chance and crit damage. Now, we're going to go for the plated boots here. Let's do the boots. We'll go the chest. Now, if you want to play it safe, you can use Chainmail Boost. This thing is a really nice 20 base damage and 50% health. The white version of it for early game is 10 base damage and 25% health. This is really, really nice for early game, but the Blood Catcher will proc more often if you're not boosting your max health. So to that end, we can actually put on the blood-soaked shirt instead. Now, we can put the other one on. So we're going to put on the blood-soaked shirt Undying for this build. So when dealing damage, 0.5% chance to convert 1% of damage to HP, dealing damage charger, increasing the damage. So we're going to boost up our damage more with this. It's also going to enable us to heal quite a bit. This is going to enable us to get some additional HP as we're going. Now, in terms of the boots, the plated boots are an obvious choice here. Plus 30 defense and plus 30 block strength. It's pretty strong. The other one you want to consider, especially for early game, is the running shoes. I think these are really, really powerful. Especially on the Cleric here, as our move speed's pretty slow, and we really want to buff it up during the run here. Lastly, for our gloves, we're going to use the Quick Hand gloves for 60% attack speed. Now, Getting these gloves early on in the game, quick hand gloves at 30% attack speed, is really going to boost up your damage output quite a bit. So early game, this is one to keep your eye out for. Now, once you get the 60% gloves, this is obvious. You want to put this one on. Now, the other one you could go for, now pickup range is nice, but the other one you might want to go for is multi-strike. Now, multi-strike can be really, really powerful on some abilities and some weapons. For our particular purpose with this current build we're going to go with attack speed instead, but keep your eye out for multi-strike gloves too. These things can be pretty powerful. The other thing that is kind of interesting is 40% chance to apply fragile. It is for melee though, so you have to be going into more of a melee build to get this the most out of this one. So this is the setup. We're going to go for Mark of the Arrow here. Now, because we're going to go with the crit chance build here, the base crit chance is really, really nice. But we like it because we can buff up our move speed with some of the additional traits that this allows us access to. I think it's probably the best one to put with our current build that we're going with. Now, if we were going to go for, you know, Burn or Frost or Sparks or something else, we can do the different ones in here. Now, there are plenty of other ways for us to apply Affliction and Fragile, so I don't think we really need this. So we're going to go with Mark of the Arrow for this one. So going to go the Defensive Hood, the Crit, going to go with the Silly Blood Catcher, the Blood-Soaked Shirt, Undying, Plated Boots, and Quick Hand Gloves. Let's quickly talk about the Scriptor over here too. So we've put our points into Crit Chance and Crit Bonus. Pretty obvious. I think early on, once you start unlocking some Torment shards here, I think Crit Chance is the obvious one to go into first. Getting a Crit Chance up towards 100% is just going to enable you to do significantly more damage. And then obviously Crit Bonus is a nice one. Now, because we have the Blood Catcher and it's so powerful, it kind of nullifies these two stats here. These three stats, in fact, at the moment. So I don't really recommend going hard into these for this particular type of build. Now, you don't get quite as much value out per shard from attack speed and multi-strike. So you really, and area, so you really have to invest pretty heavy into these to get a lot out of them. Force is a 1-for-1. So depending on what build you're running, Force might be really good. But for our purpose here, we want to go for Crit Chance and Crit Bonus. So I've grinded quite a few of these. So if you aren't able to get this many stats out of it, don't worry. I would first go into Crit Chance and then secondly into Crit Bonus. So for our Crit Cleric build here, we want to specifically go for all the magic skills during the run. So I'll show you what we want to do with our potions during the run here. We're going to throw it up against Torment 20 here. And I'll show you just how potent this combination can be. Now, but before we jump in, there is one other thing that I do want to mention. If we have a look at the Shrine of Blessings, we've taken off the health capacity here. This is to help out with the blood necklace, and I'll show you what that's about. So let's jump in here and I'll show you how we can manipulate our potions. We will edit this up a bit so it's not too long. So let's get into it. All right, so level 5 is when we get our first interesting choice. If you're struggling early game on the Cleric and you want more move speed, we can take Dedication 1 here. So plus 0.5 meters per second base move speed. If we have a look in here, the other options are for regeneration, health and defense, and regen and health together. So these are really great stats to have. You can use a potion if you really want to boost up your defensive output early. You can use some potions and double down on some of these stats. So now, early on here, the other one we've got up is Proficient Stance 1 Magic. So what I like to do on the Cleric here is to use some of our potions to double down on the magic stats here. Since we're going to take all magic attacks, we'll get the most value out of our potions for doing this. So what we want to do, hold on to this one. We'll grab the Dedication 1 for now, and we'll come back to the next level up screen here. Okay, so here we are, and here we've gotten the Proficient Stance 1. So if we take this one first, then we can take this one on the next level up screen. So we can double down by using our potions like this. So we're going to take that one right there. Now when it comes to our main weapon, I like going for Crit Bonus and Crit Chance. So let's take this one here. Okay, so we've got a tome to show up here. So let's talk about abilities for a second. As you can see, I've taken Transfixion and the Arcane Rift early on. So I took Transfixion off the first tome that showed up, and off the first scroll, I actually rerolled a couple times to find a magic attack, and that's the first one that came up. So we took the Rift early on. Rift is pretty good, but we need to take the Wandering Rift upgrade to make it actually worthwhile. Transfixion is really good. We want to take crit chance, crit damage, and attack speed and multi-strike for the transfixion. For our rift, we want to take area and damage mostly. If we can get additional rifts and stuff like that, it's really nice too. But now we like taking the arcane splinters. This is really powerful. We like taking the ability to split the splinters up, and the one that also increases the base damage. Those two together, really, really nice. Now, Spirit Warrior is actually considered a magic type here, so we can use this guy. He actually ends up being pretty powerful, so I like taking the extra summon spec that enables us to send out the splinters and the orbs. I find them to be pretty fun. You don't have to run him that way, but I like running it like that. The aura is the one we unlocked through the Cleric skill tree. This thing is close range, just like a garlic type of thing. It's really, really powerful too, but it is close range, so I like boosting up its area as well, and I like taking the just the extra magic damage, the extra magic attack, and the one that makes the damage go out everywhere too. And lastly, we have the summon fist here, which is considered magic as well, so we can go full on 6 magic skills here by taking these ones. These two, the fist and the warrior here, will unlock some of the summon traits to show up, but you can either ignore them or you can entertain them if you want. But I tend to keep the 2 summon ones for last, and I go for splinters here early on, because splinters are really powerful. They spread out on a large area, and they're quite strong. So when we're leveling up here, we're just taking mostly crit chance, crit damage, attack speed, multi-strike, just those sorts of things. We do want to take the raw defensive stat here as well, so thick hide, I think it's called. We like taking that one as well. We don't really care too much for the extra block strength. So False Blessing is also one you can consider. Multi-strike is really good. We want to take multi-strike. False Blessing is pretty good. Fragile. Each stack they have, we deal more damage by 5% to them. So it's nice to have the extra fragile stacks out there on the field. Look, we have a bunch of tomes and stuff lying around here too. So why don't we just collect another one? We can take either attack speed or multi-strike. In fact, we prefer the crit bonus if we can get it. We can do a reroll here. Got crit for our weapon, so we can take that instead. So level 15 is when Piercing Wind 1 shows up. If you want to go really, really hard into crit chance and crit damage, taking a Reverberant Tincture and doubling down on this one is an interesting choice, so we might do one of these. That's going to give our base crit damage a 30% boost, which is really, really nice. Okay, we did get our Rift to level 3 here, and I like taking the base area. Now, it does give us some negative damage, but I do really like taking the base area. And now we can take the Wandering Rift. So this is the essential upgrade for the Rifts here. It will enable them to blow up whenever they hit an enemy. So, alright, we've got Piercing Winds too, so we can do it again to make our crits even bigger here. So we're going to go all in on the crits for this particular build, and I'll show you how crazy it can really get here. Okay, so we got to level 60 here now. There's some really, really interesting stuff that the Cleric has access to at level 60 here. As we can have a look, we have plus 60% for magic damage, which is really nice. Minus 30 debuff chance. We have plus 2 base regeneration, which is really, really powerful. If one day this Bloodcatcher gets nerfed and does not heal you anymore, the Cleric's dedication is going to be a really, really nice way to heal. And the other one is the base damage for the main weapon, which is also really, really nice. So we can use a potion to grab the base damage of the weapon. And we can reroll here. We like the Cleric stance, so we could take the regeneration as well. It's probably unnecessary though. We're in such a good spot. Now, if, as I said before, if one day that this Bloodcatcher is no longer as powerful at healing, taking that Cleric's dedication there is going to be really, really powerful. Early on in the game, if you don't have something like Bloodcatcher, Cleric's dedication is an amazing, amazing one. This one carried me through my first vault clear, the Cleric's dedication, so take that. But because we have an item such as the Bloodcatcher right now, we'll just hold off. Okay, so here we are with Ethereal Shift B for magic. Plus 30% attack speed for magic, minus 100% damage for physical. So this is why we've gone all in on the magic. Nothing here is physical for us, right? So that allows us to freely come up here and duplicate this one, giving us an additional 60% attack speed for all our magic stuff. Now, we do have a mix of projectile and melee, so we don't necessarily like to go for that one there. Arcane Splinters, we could duplicate something here. We could try and get the crit stuff there as well. See if we can get it on the next one. There we go, we did. Excellent. Doing some pretty crazy crits here already. Already doing six-figure numbers there. So I kind of messed up the recording a little bit on that previous run. So I've done another one here. I'm going to show you the end, which is absolutely hilarious. In this particular one, we went all in on the riffs and went to make them really, really big, the arcane riffs. So this is pretty entertaining, the end part of this run. So I wanted to show you this before we end the video. So as you can see, 37 billion damage, something crazy. We did 13, almost 14 billion with the riffs. Everything else helping out there. Our main weapon doing quite a bit, 8. Everything else doing, more than 1 billion damage. So, I mean, pretty crazy as you can see. And this was the run where I focused a little bit more on the rifts, but yeah. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another one. If you found the video useful at all, smash like and subscribe. We'll be back with another character soon. Drop a comment down below and let me know which one you want to see next. With that, have a fantastic, amazing day. Take it easy.